Hey, what is going on, guys? In this video today, we're going to be going over some shotgun tips for Fortnite Chapter 2. Shotgun fights are very different in Fortnite right now compared to how they've been in the past, so I can totally understand why some players are struggling to adjust. I personally felt like I was losing so many winnable shotgun fights in the first 2 to 3 days of the season, and that resulted in me basically sitting down and taking the time to analyze what exactly I was doing wrong, and more importantly, how I could correct it. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so as I alluded to in the intro, the shotgun meta in Fortnite got totally overhauled at the beginning of Fortnite Chapter 2. For the majority of Season X, or at least towards the end of it, the only two usable shotguns were the pump and the tac, but the pump was so much better. But with the major nerfs that the pump got at the beginning of Chapter 2, the vast majority of players agree that the tac overall is the better option now, and therefore most people are going to be using that as their primary shotgun. Sure, the higher rarity pumps are probably better than the higher rarity tacs, but those are so rare that only a small percentage of people will have them in each game you play. So knowing that one of the biggest impacts that the tac being so popular has on shotgun fights is that on average, they're gonna last considerably longer now. When everybody used pump, shotgun fights were actually pretty simple and straightforward. Your goal every single fight was to put yourself in a position to hit one high damage shot. If that one shot was enough to knock/eliminate the enemy, then awesome, but if it wasn't, you'd quickly switch to your SMG and start spraying like crazy until you landed the 1 or 2 shots you needed to finish the kill. With the tac though, it's pretty rare that you're going to be able to finish fights in 1 or even 2 shots. That's because even the highest rarity tacs do a maximum of roughly 80 body damage per shot, and even though the max headshot damage can be much higher than that, since the tac has such a large crosshair and pellet spread, it's way harder to hit max damage headshots than it would be if you were using a pump. If you want to hit a 100 plus damage headshot, you're basically going to need to be touching the other player's body. So here are some tips for dealing with these longer and more drawn out Chapter 2 shotgun fights. The first thing that you want to avoid doing in tac shotgun fights is getting lured into or settling for 50-50 spray battles. With the pump shotgun, it was really easy to get into a rhythm of shooting a shot and then immediately building a wall to protect yourself, and that's because it had that 1.5 to 2 second downtime where you couldn't shoot even if you wanted to due to the pump's cockback animation. But the tac shotguns, on the other hand, all can fire a shot roughly every 0.65 seconds, so there really isn't that logical and easy to recognize stoppage like you have with the pump shotguns, where most people know that they need to build to protect themselves. This has led to a lot of even really good players simply not being able to restrain themselves, and whenever they get into a face-to-face engagement with an enemy, both players just keep firing their tac over and over again until eventually somebody goes down. There's multiple reasons why fights like these are just so bad to take. First, a 50-50 spray fight with a weapon like a tac really requires minimal skill, and therefore means that even if you're a good player, you'll end up dying to bad players very frequently. Second, even if you win a 50-50 spray fight with a tac, you likely got hit with at least 1 or 2 shots, so there goes a major chunk of your health. So just because the tac fires much faster than the pump does, doesn't mean you want to use it like an SMG. Instead, you almost want to treat it like a pump shotgun and make sure you build whenever your enemy is about to return fire. But even though you can avoid 50-50 fights in most situations, there are still going to be times where they're simply unavoidable. And that's why every single time I make a shotgun tips video, I try to at least briefly mention the importance of constantly moving while in shotgun fights. And much like building to protect yourself is different with the tack compared to the pump, so is the way you want to move while shooting. With the pump, since you can only shoot every 1.5 to 2 seconds, you want to stay kinda still when it's time to line up your shot so you can ensure you're as accurate as possible. But then, during that time when you can't shoot, you should be jumping around and strafing like a crazy person so you're difficult to hit. With the tack though, whenever you take a 50-50 fight, you should never stop moving since your output of shots is so much more constant. Unfortunately, that's gonna hurt you guys who don't have a SCUF or Xbox Elite controller, since jumping while aiming is pretty difficult to do without paddles, but you're just gonna need to do your best. Another important tip regarding using the tack is to not be afraid to ADS with it. Again, since the pump shotgun has been the most common shotgun in roughly 10 out of the 11 seasons in Fortnite history, a lot of players are kinda conditioned to not really ADS with their shotgun. But with the tack, ADSing is very important, and there are actually two different types of ADSing that you want to use depending on the situation. The first is the more traditional full ADS, which you basically want to use whenever your enemy is outside of point blank range, but also isn't presenting an immediate threat to you. So maybe he's facing away from you, or you just have a good angle advantage where you're confident he won't be able to hit you. This full ADS is really important with the tack because, like I stated earlier, the crosshair is very wide, and that means that there's a lot of pellet spread. This means that the damage drops off incredibly quickly outside of point blank range, and eventually it gets to the point where sooner rather than later, the damage numbers you'll be dealing will be closer to that of an AR or SMG than a shotgun. But by aiming down sights, you decrease the crosshair size enough to mitigate a good amount of that damage drop-off. The other ADS method is the snapshot method that I've talked about numerous times before on this channel. It's simply tapping your ADS button and then immediately firing after doing so. This is especially powerful on Legacy aim assist since you get the snap-on to your opponent's body. However, even if you don't use Legacy, I would still recommend doing this. The reason why is because it'll still decrease your crosshair size a bit, but since you aren't fully ADSing, you'll still be able to stay somewhat mobile while firing. Here's a quick little clip that I think does a good job showcasing how these two ADS methods impact the damage dealt by your shotgun. So as you just saw, at that range, ADSing with the tack caused a significant increase in damage, but with the pump, it had absolutely no effect whatsoever. The final thing I want to quickly discuss is a question that I've seen a few times in my comments and on Twitter, which is basically, if I'm using a tack shotgun now, do I also need to carry an SMG? The answer to that question is that it basically comes down to preference, but unlike with the pump, no, you don't 100% need an SMG if you're using a tack. I still like to carry one in most of the games I play because it's really helpful when breaking and replacing or spraying through walls, and that's something I do a lot with my personal playstyle. But if that's not something you usually do, you can use that inventory spot that would normally be occupied by an SMG for something else. And in Chapter 2, with a lot of players wanting to carry RPGs/snipers, or even needing 2 spots for the bandage bazooka, that extra inventory space will definitely come in handy. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you watched the entire thing, be sure to let me know with a comment down the comment section below. Do you guys think that shotgun fights are different in Fortnite Chapter 2 compared to how they've been in previous seasons? And if so, do you like the change or not? Be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, do whatever the heck you want, and I will catch you guys next time.